Hey, what's up, geeks? Darron here. Now, in this video, we're going to talk about listening, the power of listening. Now, the reason we're covering this topic is because I had a developer reach out to me, an aspiring developer reach out to me, and he was over concerned about a job interview and wanted to know the difference between a functional component and the FC component. And there literally was no difference. But he was his mind was in such a scramble. He didn't pay attention. He would not listen, and I gave him the answer. He just didn't know it. So we're going to get into that. Now, before I actually get into it, make sure that you're a member of the Discord channel. I just asked the question to the other developers that are on the Discord. I basically asked them, are they professional software developers? Reason I asked that question because I want to know how many people watching this channel are actually already working in software development field or are just aspiring to be in that field. So if you're not on the Discord, make sure that you click the link below, go to the Discord, and you answer that question. It's in the polls channel. But anyways, like I was saying, we're going to talk about this developer that basically cannot listen. So the reason that this rubbed me the wrong way is that this dude, he basically had an interview. He had to do a coding exam, and if you're not a software developer, you'll notice that a lot of companies, they have various different types of tests that they give to developers. Sometimes they'll have you do an algorithm. Sometimes it's just a run through of React Native, and other times they're going to tell you to build something. Well, in this case, this guy was told to build something, and he overthunk this thing all the way. He basically needs to know how to persist data. He needed to know how, based off of what he sent me, he said that it didn't show this on the document, but he said that he needs to know the difference between a functional component and the FC component. And it was also wanted to have the application support offline mode. In that case, you're going to use SQL. You're going to use MySQL. You can attach a little SQL database that you can use offline. But this guy, he could have had his questions answered if he would have actually listened. Now, there's a lot of people on YouTube who are giving you React Native advice, but they aren't React Native developers. You'll see, if you go to their channels, you'll see that they have an Angular tutorial. They don't have a React tutorial. Then they have a React Native tutorial. And then they'll show you how to use all these different libraries to get your React Native application to work. It'll connect It'll connect your database. It'll create a database in Firebase. If you use Firebase, that data does not belong to you and your company. That data belongs to Google. And Google changes that interface all the time. So you don't want to couple your application with third parties. And a lot of these developers on YouTube are basically telling you to do that. And if you take a look at my tutorials, everything is built from scratch. I build things using React Native CLI. I don't use Expo because companies expect you to know how to use CLI. They don't care about Expo. Expo is for beginners. I also, when I style, I make sure I style the application using React Native's components. When you actually have a coding interview, they're going to want you to not use any kind of library to actually get your styles on the screen. They want you to hard code that from scratch. And back to the point that I was trying to make is that this guy, I literally, if you go to the previous recent videos, I have a video called FC versus functional component. And I proved to him that basically they were both the same. And if you look at the code, you'll see that FC is actually equal to functional component. It has the functional component, all of its properties, and then it shows that FC is equal to functional component. And this guy, he couldn't help it. So he's like, well, why are all these companies wanting me to know the difference, use a function component? Companies don't want you to do that. I've worked in software development for 6 years. Companies expect the software developers to know how to code. They expect you to know the best practices. And if you don't know the best practices, they expect you to be smart enough to find out. I've never had a CEO, a CTO, or a COO, or any other manager in any other department talk to me about using React Native and what libraries I should use within React Native. That's never happened once. They trust me as a software developer to know what I'm doing and to make their application work. Another thing, a lot of people who are writing blogs on the internet, I saw there was a blog that stated that why you should not use FC. He wrote this long blog about it, showed examples, but the guy was completely wrong. As I stated, if you can go into the code, if you're using the IDE, you're using, maybe it even shows it on, I can't remember because I don't even use, let me take a look because I'm curious what that actually is. Visual Studio Code. If you use Visual Studio Code, I use WebStorm. If you hold Command and click on Functional Component and FC Component, you'll see that the properties are the same. FC is equal to Function Component. Function Component was created because FC did not initially allow you to type your children. Now that Functional Component is completed, FC is equal to Functional Component, so you can literally type your children. It does exactly the same thing. If you check out the video that I posted last week, I believe, you'll see how it's supposed to work. Now, the next thing I want to get into is being intelligent. I mentioned this briefly already, but as I stated, companies expect you to be intelligent enough to find things out. They hire experts to do the job. They don't see themselves as expert software developers. So if you're ever in a panic or you're searching for something on the internet, if you have a great idea of how React Native is supposed to work, how software development is supposed to work, how architecture is supposed to work, you can find your answers. You know, and if you can't, and some people, and you have the luxury also to reach out to me. You're going on the internet. The best place that you can go on the internet is Stack Overflow, period. Don't go to a push request on GitHub. Go to Stack Overflow. Ask your questions there. Read about the discussions on Stack Overflow. Other than that, you're going to have to be intelligent enough to find out these answers. I work as a software developer, a React Native software developer, a lead React Native developer. I'm in a great position to help you learn React Native and to answer any kind of questions you have that may be confusing you. If I give you an answer, it's because I know it. If I don't know the answer, I will tell you clearly I do not know the answer. And not only that, I will show you why it works and also explain to you how you can actually discover the answers on your own in the future. All right? Now, that was it for this video. I just had to get that off my chest because I just found it funny that somebody that's never had any experience with software development is trying to give me advice on software development. You know, people these days. But anyways, like, comment, subscribe. Like I said, check out our Discord. You can reach out to me on Discord. You can reach out to other React Native developers. Go to the poll. I want you to go to the poll and actually answer that question that I posted. And I'll catch you next time. Peace.